It's almost time for the Bachelor Party B-side, but first, let me remind you of what else is going on here at The Ringer. First of all, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ringer. My wonderful colleagues Cameron Collins, Chris Ryan, Sean Fennessy, Amanda Dobbins, and our dear friend Wesley Morris, on loan from the New York Times, have an awesome video series going over the Oscars, which are coming up this Sunday. You definitely want to check those out. And hey, while you're there, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Why not? And when you're at your computer, go to theringer.com. There's so much to read there, including recaps if you missed anything from Monday's episode, provided by Mr. Roger Sherman. Can't recommend it enough. He will enlighten you on what Becca's ex-boyfriend does now, where he works. Hint, it's an elite West Coast University, and who was singing that iconic cover of LeAnn Rimes' How Do I Live? You won't want to miss it, so check it out, theringer.com and youtube.com/ringer. And now let's batch. Welcome to the Bachelor Party B-side. It's week 9 of The Bachelor, and we have the one and only Miss Bekah Martinez here in studio. Hi, Bekah.
Hello.
I've been referring to you as Bekah the entire season.
Love it.
Some say Bekah, like a bird.
I've gotten that before.
You have?
Yes.
I thought that we were innovators in the space, but I guess not.
No, it was like my friends in junior high and high school lovingly referred to as me as Bekah.
Okay, great. So
used
I'm
to it.
Glad to hear that other people are doing that too.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
You're fresh off The Bachelor.
Yes.
And fresh off the missing persons list in Humboldt County. There's so much to dig into. I think we should just start with the obvious, which is your age. Are you still 22?
I am not. I turned 23 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. What's your birthday?
February 10th.
Nice. So you're an Aquarius.
I am an Aquarius.
I am too.
Are you? What's your birthday?
February 18th. Last day. I'm on the cusp.
Birthday.
Do you like to swim?
No, not really.
Really?
I mean, like, I like to be in the water, but.
Sure. But okay, you're like a water baby.
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay. So you were 22 for filming.
Yes.
When did you become aware of the fact like your storyline was going to be about how old you were?
Of course, like when I auditioned for the show, I'm like, well, I thought it was going to be Peter. So I'm like, well, he's 31, I'm 22. That's like 9 years, a bit of an age gap. And then when I found out it was Arie, I was like, oh, he's 36. That's a bigger age gap.
Yeah.
And I kind of figured that it would play a part of my story, but it wasn't until they posted the cast list and I saw that my age had been redacted, and I was like, oh boy.
So they didn't tell you that was
here we
thing.
go. No, they didn't tell me they were going to take off my age, and so a bunch of people were like, why is she hiding her age? I'm like, I was very open about it, but yeah.
Did the other women in the house like ask you how old you were?
Well, it was so funny because on the first night, Becca K actually was like, how old are you? And I was like, oh, how old do you think I am? And she was like 28.
Were you flirting with her?
Yeah,
okay.
Totally. I was hitting on Becca for sure. She's like, well, I was curious because we were all asking each other, and like I had no idea how old the other girls were in relation to me. I mean, there was another 23-year-old. There was two 23-year-olds. Olivia, she went home on the first night. And there was like, Lauren's 25. Anyway, so Becca asked me, and she was like, yeah, I thought you were like 28 or 29. I was like, no, I'm 22. And it was funny because from the first night, like to my face, a lot of people were like, oh, like you seem like you have things together for being a 22-year-old. Like, that's awesome. Good for you. You like, no one really had a problem with it. But of course, when you're producing a TV show, there's a lot more prodding that goes into conversations and interviews and such. And so I think that that's why that became such a big thing. And then I was also kind of advised to hold off on telling Arie about my age until our one-on-one.
Oh.
So, yeah.
So what does that mean, you were advised?
Like, I'd be talking to my producer and be like, oh, well, maybe I should tell him. And he'd be like, well, maybe you should wait until a better setting where it's just the two of you, which I do think was good advice. I think that if I had just told him on the first night, like, yeah, I'm 22, I think he might have been like, oh.
Yeah, could have gone home the first night if that was like the first impression you were making.
Right. However, of course, until I started watching the show, I didn't realize how much it was discussed with other women in the house and how much Arie went. Well, I knew Arie started making a big deal about it the moment that I told him, because that's pretty much all we talked about for the rest of our time together. It was always like, but are you ready? Like, you're 22. Like, are you sure? It was like that. It was.
You pulled some good moves on him. I think I will never forget when you were like, stop trying to ask me what the future holds. I can't tell you. Like that was.
Well, I mean, come on. It was our first date. And I'm like, he literally, I don't remember if this was shown, but he had my face in his hands and he was like,
oh, he's a big face holder.
Yeah, he was like, promise me you won't break my heart. And I was like, I can't.
They didn't show that, no.
I was like, what the hell? I can't promise you that. I'm like, I can't promise you that if I'm 22 or 42. Like,
it's true.
Like I'm not going to give you that reassurance, which I think was a big thing for Arie.
Yeah, he wanted.
With every woman.
He wanted to hear that he was loved, basically.
Right.
When did you get that sense about him? Like when were you like, oh, this guy needs reassurance?
On that one-on-one date, for sure. Because there was so much discussion about him just being like, tell me. Like, you need to tell me if you ever feel like you aren't ready. Like, you need to tell me if you ever are having doubts. Like, he wanted to know so badly. So I think he could just, send me home if he felt like I think he was really worried about taking a woman to the very end and then her rejecting him. But it's like, dude, that's like the game of love. Like,
totally.
If you're actually in love with somebody, it usually means there's a risk that they're going to break your heart.
Yeah, you got to take it.
Yeah.
Do you think he was more worried about getting heartbroken or about not having a successful end on the show?
Ooh, good question. Maybe a little bit of both. I think he's definitely an image-oriented person. And I think this is the funny thing. I think had he known how I would be received by the audience watching, I think I would have made it farther than I did. Because I think he was so concerned that people were going to give him backlash about choosing a 22-year-old. But everyone seemed to like me just fine and wanted him to keep me on. I think had he known that would happen, he wouldn't have sent me home.
You have a high approval rating. Are you surprised?
Yes. No.
Very high approval rating here at the Ringer, to be honest. I'm serious. Everyone's very excited you were coming today. I think you and Tia are like the crowd favorites from this season. Yeah. Did you like Tia?
I did up until she threw me under the freaking bus.
Yeah, that was rough. We'll come back to that. I want to talk more about Arie. So when was he like, when he was like grabbing your face, and were you aware of how long his fingers were? I noticed that a lot on television.
Well, we definitely put our hands together at one point, and I was like, whoa, this isn't a normal, guy to girl hand ratio. His dwarfed mine.
He has really big hands.
And I don't really have particularly small hands for a woman. Like, they're average.
Sure, look average to me.
Yeah,
I think it's because he's a head grabber. That it's like his hands are like in the
but
camera.
He has big hands. He does.
Is that like a thing people say about him?
I don't know, but I said that about him. I was like, wow, you have really long fingers.
Can he like palm your face?
Probably could.
Wow, we should try to test that with him. Should I ever meet him? When he was asking you about your age and when you were with him, do you think he was worried about the women's reaction at the time, or was he still in the moment with you?
The other women, what do you mean?
Like when they knew that you were young. And do you think he was aware that it was a talking point in the house among the other contestants?
I don't think any of the girls actually cared. Mm-hmm. And Tia still says that it didn't have anything to do about my age. It had to do about other things. That's what she maintains. So,
what are the other things?
Should we just delve into that right now?
Yeah, I would love to.
I think she briefly talked about it at Women Tell All, and a bunch of people are like, what was she talking about? Because it was kind of edited But I had said something. We were on a van ride in Italy, and we were, one of the producers was like, "Oh, who are you guys interested in Bachelor Nation?" We were having a girl chat. There's like 7 of us girls in the car, and then I was like, "Oh, did you guys have any dudes you were interested in back home before you went on the show?" And apparently that really rubbed Tia the wrong way because she's like, "I'm in love with him. How could you be talking about dudes back home?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not saying that I was in love with anybody back home. I'm just
everyone's got
it's casual conversation. Not to mention, Arie had a freaking girlfriend like a month and a half before we started filming that he dumped.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. A girlfriend of like a year and a half who was 24.
Really?
So, yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
So he likes
and they broke up in like July. So, and here's another thing. I mean, maybe I'm just too much of a realist, but there was only one of us were going to end up with him at the end. So
Becca, that's not realism. That's just facts.
Exactly.
Facts only.
Well, that's the thing. So it's like, I'm going to keep my options open back home because I was single before I went on the show, and chances are I'm going to be single when I go home from the show too.
Sure, it's true. It's just smart planning.
Yes.
Okay.
Like to think ahead.
Have you made up with Tia? The Women Tell All is recent.
Yeah.
This is like a 2-week-old issue.
Yeah. Oh, also another thing that she didn't say on TV, but I had been joking around about like spin-off shows. I was like, yeah, I can't wait till I get my spin-off show, like Life of Bekah. And like, obviously I'm just joking around. It's my personality.
Would watch. I'd be interested in that.
I'd love to have my own show.
Let's
but
get
I mean,
you on Freeform.
It was a joke. And then she, she was like, Becca's not here for the right reasons. She's here for fame. I'm like, okay,
wow.
But here's the thing. Everyone who's on the show agreed to be on a TV show.
Of course.
And if you didn't want to be on a TV show, you wouldn't be on The Bachelor. I don't care who you are. And here's another thing. If you're really this isn't a last resort to get married.
Yes.
If you say that, you're full of, can I say bad words?
You can curse your head off, girl.
You're full of shit if you go on the show and say it's like your last resort, because all the girls on the show are like 9s or 10s, and you have a higher chance going to your freaking bar on the corner in Arkansas and finding a man than you do going on a TV show where you're competing against 28 other women.
It's so true. I mean, you watch the Winter Games, it's like, well, if you have a 1-to-1 ratio, yes, there's a good chance that everyone's going to find someone.
Right. And so it's like, I don't know. I think everybody goes on the show to be like, yeah, I'm going to be on a TV show. Let's see what happens. And then along the way, maybe you're like, wow, I actually really care about this person and I'm falling in love with this person. Just be real about the fact that you went on the show because you thought it would be fun to be on a TV show. Every single person is there for that reason.
It's completely true. I mean, it's not like a natural way to fall in love.
No.
You have to be interested in like the cameras as well.
Yeah. I mean, after doing it though, I think it's totally possible. I mean,
You do?
I do.
Did you feel like you were falling in love?
Well, for me personally, I thought I was. I genuinely thought I was. And I think once I returned back to my normal life, the bubble was kind of burst. And I was like, oh, I don't really see him fitting in with my life.
That's kind of like any like infatuation though.
Sure,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like anyone who you meet, you're like, oh my God, this person's so special, or
Right.
wow, I'm so interested. And then like it wanes or it wears off and you're like, what was I thinking?
Right.
That's like, that happens.
But it's like, it's also like any other relationship where you got to meet somebody somehow.
Yeah.
And so there's some people, that I've absolutely fallen in love with and had wonderful relationships with, and I could have met them on the show. Like, why
Sure.
not?
Yeah. So why did you go on the show other than being okay with like wanting to be on television?
Well, because like I loved the show for years, and I always said, I've been saying for literally 3 or 4 years, next time I'm single and like the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to go be on The Bachelor.
Cool. What was the first season you watched?
Whose season? Arie Fedowski.
She's the best.
And yeah,
I really
was
like her.
great.
Yeah, that was a really good season.
I still remember Roberto.
Yeah,
so
she should have ended up with Frank. Is the issue?
I don't remember. All I remember is Roberto.
She was gonna pick him, and then he decided to leave because he had a girlfriend back home. Yeah, and it was just the ugliest cry. Like, she's a really pretty girl, but she was so beside herself. It was a tough look. I
remember that.
It was a good season. Yeah, they were in Bora Bora. The budget used to be higher. So
yes, her season was exotic. I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the application process like?
Well, I went to the open casting in Orange County.
Okay.
I was like hungover driving to the casting call. And I so didn't want to go. I didn't want to like do my makeup and get all cute. But I was like, I'm doing this for Peter. I'm doing this for Peter. Like I was seriously telling myself that in my head. I'm like, this is to meet Peter. And then the casting call went great. And it was almost too easy. It was crazy.
No like video? What kind of?
Well, yeah, the casting call you sit with some casting producers or whatever, and they have a camera in front of you, and I basically just talked about myself for like 30 minutes. And
what'd you say? Did they ask you questions?
Yeah, they asked you questions, and I knew it was going well because most women were you like sit in a hallway and wait for your turn, and most women were in and out in like 3 minutes, and I was in there for like 35. So they started out with like, what do you do? What are your hobbies? And I just obviously I like to talk.
Yeah.
So I just took it away.
Nice.
And then they were like, all right, here's your packet for like the next round for the background check.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you watched Arie's season, and then did you watch like every season since
then?
No,
I watched pretty sporadically, but the past few seasons I have watched. I watched Rachel's season.
She's dope. Have you met her?
No, but she's great.
She's
I read her
awesome.
blog, and like she was making comments every week throughout our season. I was like, yes, you are so
she's awesome
on it.
She's like a cool, normal person.
Dude, she's just so intelligent, and I love, she's got good little quips, and she's cool.
Yeah, she's awesome. When did you find out it wasn't going to be Peter?
Well, I found out when everybody else did.
Like when they just announced
They announced it. It was about a week and a half before filming.
Yeah.
It was literally probably 10 days before filming.
Did you think about dropping out?
No, because my first thought was actually relief because I had hyped up in my head this idea of what kind of woman Peter would want to be with. And I had kind of started to stress out. I was like, I don't know if he's going to like me.
Based on what? We have no idea what Peter's into.
Well, he just seems very like put together. And just
he's definitely into fitness.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he is.
Which I'm a rock climber, so I'm like, okay, that would work. But he just seems very kind of straight-laced, and I thought maybe I'm going to be too crazy for him. And then I was like, okay, this dude's a race car driver. From what it seems like with his track record, he likes younger girls, and I don't know anything about him, so I figured I'd be more natural and more comfortable going into it with a stranger than with somebody that I had watched a whole season before.
Interesting. So it's like you didn't have to like bring your preconceived notions.
And I was like, this is cool. It's like meeting a stranger at a bar or something.
Did you watch Emily's season? She was
No, I didn't.
After Arie.
Yeah, no, I didn't. And I chose not to watch it back until after I got home from the show.
That's smart. Did you go back and watch it?
I did.
What did you think about the way Arie seemed in that season versus how he has seemed as The Bachelor?
Well, I think...
And also what he's like in real life.
So I think it was really fun to watch Emily's season back after, and it made me kind of sad because he's just like so endearing and charming and cute and funny on Emily's
he's way more
season.
relaxed on that.
He is, and I think that was the thing is I think he was so concerned on our season about looking good, and I think he was so scared of how the public was going to perceive him that he didn't loosen up. I mean, I think you see him loosening up more as the season progresses. But even when you watch the bloopers on Women Tell All, like he's goofy, he's just very silly, very loose. And the only times I saw that side of him is when he would like be a couple of glasses of wine in.
Wine's not his drink of choice?
Yeah, he was always drinking red wine.
Interesting. Okay, he does. He talked about it a lot, that he's a red wine drinker.
He likes wine.
What's your drink of choice?
Just depends on the mood.
Okay.
I fell in love with dirty martinis while I was on the show.
Okay.
Because it makes me feel like I'm a real housewife, and I really like it, so that's fun.
Vodka martinis?
Yes.
Okay. Fun.
Well, that also depends on the mood. Oops, I just...
Yeah, we're all good here.
Depends. Sometimes
it's a casual affair.
If it's a cocktail party, then I'm going to do vodka. If I'm just out for drinks with the girls, you know, and I'm wearing like maybe jeans and heels, gin.
Okay. So vodka to like make you more peppy, and gin to have more of like a buzz,
a cool girl.
Yeah,
vibe.
sure. Yeah, sure. So was there a lot of drinking with just the women while the other stuff was while other dates were going on?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly just it's so boring. There's so much waiting time that you don't realize, but it's like if a girl's on a one-on-one date all day, which there was a lot of weeks where there were 2 one-on-ones, which means that for those 2 full days, we were just kind of sitting around doing interviews and having nothing to do.
Did you find that boring or fun? Like, did you bond with other women?
Yeah, I mean, it was really, I developed great relationships with the women, but it was boring. There was always a moment where you're just bored out of your freaking mind. And I read a lot, which was cool, and we played a lot of card games and drank, but there's only so much you can do when you're trapped inside a hotel or wherever you are.
Do you have any access? Like, do you get like a once a week phone call?
No.
Nothing.
You're cut off from the world. In fact, something that was really interesting was the Vegas shooting happened while we were filming, and we were actually in Tahoe at the time, and it was so weird. They were like, okay, turn off all the cameras, everyone meet in the living room. We were like, what is going on? And so they literally had to sit us down and tell us what happened, which was so surreal because normally, I mean, I'm pretty desensitized. When one of those shootings happens or something, I'll see it on my phone. I'm like, oh, wow, that's sad. And I click off my phone and go about my day. But having a person sit you down and tell you to your face, like, this many people were killed and these many people are injured, I was sobbing. And it was so strange. I've never experienced that kind of reaction before to an event like that. It was interesting.
Yeah. And also you're already kind of like in like a sensory deprivation zone. Yeah. And everything is just like, I'm sure
elevated.
It feels more intense and all of that. Wow, I forgot that was during the time of filming.
Yeah, so when that happened, I have a cousin who lives in Vegas, so I was able to text my mom off the producer's phone and say, like, is blah, blah, blah okay?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Who was your best friend in the house?
So, let's see. I was pretty much cool with all the girls throughout the season, but Bekah and I got really close as the weeks progressed, for sure. We got really close. Sienna and Ashley, you don't see much of Ashley on the season, but she's so funny and just
of Ashley.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
She's one of the blondes, right?
No, Ashley. I know. Ashley's light skinned. Yeah. She's black.
Yeah. She had a good moment on the Women Tell All.
Yes,
that's a good point. there was such an emphasis on you and Crystal and Chelsea to a certain extent.
Yes.
And then Tia that we basically don't know anything else about anyone. We don't know much about most of the cast. Yeah. And that always happens. But are women aware of like who's getting the most screen time as filming's happening?
I don't think everyone is aware of it. I think a lot of women thought they would be on the show, but for me, I think I realized pretty early on that if you're not saying things that are the most provocative, you're not going to get screen time because other women that do say more provocative things will get that screen time. Because, if you make a comment and you're like, yeah, well, I love Bekah, so hopefully she gets a rose tonight. No one wants to watch that on TV.
Right.
If you say things that are like, no, which is the truth. If you say the truth, which is like, no, I hope Bekah doesn't get a rose. Love her, but if she doesn't get a rose, that means one more rose at the ceremony this week. You probably are going to get screen time.
Right. I was going to ask if you said things intentionally provocative to the show. However, having been around you for 20 minutes, I can tell it just comes naturally. And you're like actually perfect for it.
I think I'm I think I'm a provocative person in general. And I'm a contrarian by nature.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse.
This is a good segue into your thoughts on Crystal and Crystal in general.
Sure.
Any regrets about what you said about her?
No. I mean, well, this is interesting. You don't see this on the show, but she and I were very close the first couple of weeks. I was probably the only girl that was actually friends with her. So I got really annoyed, actually. At women. You didn't see this on Women Tell All either, but, Caroline was saying bullshit where she was like, I try to be friends with you. I'm like, no, you didn't. Not very many women actually tried to be friends with Crystal, and I did. And I actually got close to her and talked to her behind closed doors, which is why actually I got so irritated in Florida because she was a different person behind closed doors. She talked in a different voice, said different things than she did in front of the camera. So that's one of the reasons why I was so heated is because I was like, oh my gosh, Crystal, just be yourself. And none of the women wanted to be around her, and it was because she wasn't being genuine, and it just really
what is she
started
actually
to
like?
irk me.
What is genuine Crystal?
She's a little crazy, and she'll admit that she's got a little screw loose.
Who isn't?
Yeah, it's true. But the thing is, people are more drawn to people who are transparent about their craziness.
Kind Yeah.
So she was making comments behind closed doors where she'd be like, I don't know, she'd just be talking shit on people and stuff like that, and it was funny. She's kind of a entertaining character, clearly. Although so many people hate her on the show.
I have to say, I hate her. If I ever saw her, I'd like probably have to hide or like stand in the corner because I've just said really mean things. But she's based on what we've seen on the show, she sucked. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and living with her was a nightmare. I mean, it did suck, but. Also, when I watch her back on TV now, I'm like, wow, Crystal, you're genius. Like your TV presence is just
the voice
just
thing.
So good. Like she's like a Disney villain.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's also so good.
The voice is pretty hard to get past.
Yes.
Did she ever now we saw in the Women Tell All that her like phone sex operator
That's
voice was
what
fake.
I'm saying. She didn't talk like that in private.
So did you tell people that? Did you say anything to her? Like,
I
Crystal,
think we all knew. And that's
so weird.
Like we all kind of knew that she didn't actually sound like that, which is part of the reason why we're all making fun of it. And people are like, that's so mean. That's her voice. I'm like, no, but that's not her voice.
Right. It's pretty weird. And now it's like, oh, she thinks that's sexy or hot. Right. Like that's the only takeaway.
No, because she started, did you notice when she was sitting next to Arie, she started doing it again?
And then she would like go into that weird whisper that I just found to be,
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, well. Oh, God.
I just want to tell Arie that.
My heart is with him here. I'm here for him and not the other women. And she'd like do this thing where she did this so much on the show where she's like with her face.
She's tough. Seems like a very tough hang.
But I think I'm also one of the only people that's cool with her now. Like,
oh, so you made up?
Yeah, I like FaceTimed her as the show was airing, and
that's
we
nice.
Like, yeah. So
okay, what's she up to?
I'm cool with her. She's just doing her fitness thing in San Diego.
Okay,
just doing crunches, getting tan.
Okay,
she's doing her thing.
Okay,
but I don't know. I think I don't know. I like her, and again, maybe it's the contrarian in me. But now I'm just like, man. Everyone hates her, and she's just like doing her
she
thing.
Can be
glitter.
She can be a guest star on The Life of Bekah.
Yeah,
if you're cool with her,
totally,
no problem. I'm curious about some of your dates with Arie.
Yeah.
So you got a one-on-one in Tahoe.
Yeah.
Have you been to Tahoe before? You're from Fresno.
Dude, I'm the only person there who had been to Tahoe multiple times. I go almost every year to snowboard and So I was like, really? Why is my date here in Tahoe?
That's a bummer.
But you know what also is a bummer? Not to be the girl that complains about
you went
going
to Reno?
Well, no. I mean,
like who doesn't go to the California side? Sorry, Nevada. Unless you're going to gamble, but I didn't see that happening on TV.
No, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But no, the thing that sucked, not to be the person that complains about going to Europe, but I haven't been that many places internationally. And of course, the two places I've been to are Paris and Tuscany.
That does suck, actually.
So when they announced that, I was like,
bummer.
Like, not to complain, but like
Peru
I wish.
Seemed cool.
I know. That seemed really cool.
Yeah.
Didn't make it that far.
Bad beat. I'm sorry for you.
Yeah. But like in Tahoe, I know. I was like, wow, this is kind of a date that is sort of normal. Like I wanted a helicopter date over Peru.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's what I wanted. I'm not I mean, I know I sound like a bitch complaining about but like horseback riding, like
also
some
smelly.
guy also some guy the other day like invited me like on a date to go horseback riding.
Who?
Just some guy.
Whoa. Are you dating him?
No.
Okay.
Well, it was their first date. Actually, it was last night.
Was it a nighttime horseback ride?
No, we didn't go horseback riding last night. We like cooked dinner last night.
At whose house?
At his house.
You're back in the dating world is what you're telling me.
This is actually pretty much the only date I've gone on since the show in the past 3 months. I've actually been like very single since the end of taping.
By choice or like just can't meet anyone that you like?
No, just
no one's sliding into your DMs that you're interested in?
So many people sliding into my DMs, but no.
People listening, not the way to get a date with Bekah.
Yeah, no, it's overwhelming. But yeah, no, I don't know. I've just been so busy and it's been nice to just focus on myself. But yeah, let's see what happens with this.
Okay, back to Tahoe.
Back to Tahoe.
I can't wait to hear more about this like amateur chef that you're dating. But back to Tahoe. How awkward was it when you're in like the random hot tub and you just like have
I loved it.
You did?
Well, this is another thing where the hot tub was cool, but I also go to a lot of natural hot springs in general because I'm a pretty outdoorsy person. So I was like, this date is cool, but this is like kind of a normal date.
Sure.
But also that was sweet because I'm like, I'm in my element right now. So it was nice. And it was a cedar hot tub. So like the water smelled like cedar. It was amazing.
Okay.
And like we like put logs into the stove to heat it and stuff.
Really? How's Arie in the outdoors?
I mean, he seems comfortable enough.
Okay. That's not a ringing endorsement, Bekah.
No, I mean,
not getting his hands dirty.
Seems fine enough, but I mean, it wasn't very outdoorsy. We were like, there was wine and cheese and stuff and everything, like at the hot tub, and which was just fun.
He loves his wine.
I know he does.
He's into the finer things.
It was actually so fun. Like the hot tub was great, pretty steamy, pun intended.
Nice,
but it really, things got pretty.
How many cumulative hours do you really spend with him on a one-on-one date?
It honestly just depends. So like Crystal, when she went on her date, for instance, they flew to Scottsdale, which they must have known that she was going to be crazy. Because like, who gets a date like that on the first week?
I think they did know, but I don't have like evidence to back this up. But I would guess something else fell through, and they're like, "We're going to Scottsdale."
Yeah, maybe.
Actually. Yeah, I would guess that was probably what happened.
Well, I don't know, but the whole date of like her meeting his parents and stuff, like that's very convenient that she ends up being Miss Crazy on the season.
Yeah, I mean maybe.
I don't know.
It's weird to have to introduce his family that early on.
Yeah,
also.
It's very. Also, she lied about it. We didn't know she met his family until literally after filming.
Really?
Because Arie
she
mentioned
came back
it,
and she wouldn't talk about it. She was like, "I'm gonna keep it private."
No, she straight up lied. Like we were like, "Did you meet his parents?" And she's like, "No."
Why would you lie about that?
I don't know. It was weird. But
what's the point?
She kept it hidden.
Just from a strategy standpoint, I would want everyone to know. Be like, yeah bitches, I met his parents.
Exactly. Me too.
Doesn't make any sense.
I know. It was weird.
Really confusing.
But anyway, so for her date, they spent all that time in the jet and like drove around just the two of them. Like they got probably a full, I would say like 14 hours, 15, maybe 16 hours on their date.
That's a long day.
It is.
That's a lot of time with Crystal.
And it's a lot of time to talk too. Like he and I didn't get that much. We didn't drive together to meet in Tahoe. Like we showed up at the same place. Then we had our we couldn't really hear each other on the horseback ride. So there wasn't much talking with that. So with like hot tub time and then the evening portion of the date, we maybe got a total of like 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
But it just varies.
That's pretty low.
Or like Bekah K didn't get much on her first week date because like she was pretty much she basically got a date with Rachel Zoe.
Yeah. That seemed like actually one of the worst dates.
Yeah. Except she got to go home with Louboutins.
That's true. And then, yeah, if I were her, I would sell the clothes that I got and keep the shoes.
The shoes,
eBay.
The dresses weren't that cute anyway.
Yeah, totally. She seems really nice, though. I liked her.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she seems lovely.
She's so genuine.
I think she's getting a weird edit because we don't get like she seemed really cool in Fantasy Suites. Like I liked when she was kind of telling off her ex and she was just like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah,
but we didn't really see a lot of that from her, and you just see her being like nervous about Arie, which sucks. And it's probably the way that I would be. I mean, the anxiety of like competing with all the other women, I would probably like be like physically debilitated from it. But,
right. Well, I think once again, there's more provocative characters that just got more screen time, but she is a wonderful person. Like she's got such a pure heart, and like the thing I love about her is she's not stupid. Like she didn't go on the show being like, I'm gonna fall in love and find my husband, but she went with truly an open heart and mind, where she was like, well, maybe I will, you know. And I just think that she's just so honest and so transparent.
You mentioned that Arie and Crystal spent 16 hours together.
Yeah.
Do you think Arie has 16 hours of material inside of his brain of like things to talk about and like talking points to keep things lively?
My first instinct is like, oh yeah. And then I realized that for myself, I can create 16 hours of talking points with anybody. With like, my mom texts me while she's watching the show and she goes, I'm not surprised you had a connection with Arie. You could have a connection with a pet rock if you wanted to. I was like, oh, okay. Thanks, Mom.
We need some time with your mom. She sounds phenomenal, first of all.
She's wonderful.
Obviously cares a lot about you and was very worried.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about the missing person situation. Yeah. If for any reason you aren't aware, which I can't imagine, Bekah ended up on the missing persons list in Humboldt County in November, and then it came to light in January that you were still on the list, or maybe February. Yeah. And some random person who watches the show was like, she's not missing, she's on the show, blah blah blah. And now here we are, and this has been discussed at length.
Right.
In the media on Jimmy Kimmel Live. And now we're going to get into it as well.
Yeah. So I might as well just go, since we're in this setting. Like, I really simplified the story because it's actually like the most insane, like it doesn't sound real. And it's so funny because so many people were like, what a great publicity stunt. I'm like, I could not dream up this kind of publicity stunt if I tried. If this was a publicity stunt, somebody needs to be getting paid a lot of money because this is genius.
I want to get into this missing person story. I really, really do. But first, let's talk about Everlywell. Let's be real. Finding the time to get a lab test is almost impossible, not to mention figuring out how much it will cost you or what your results mean. But now it's easy to order the tests you want at everlywell.com. It's an at-home health testing company that offers a variety of tests, from food sensitivity to metabolism to thyroid. Each test is physician-reviewed, private, simple, and processed through a certified lab. All you have to do is head to everlywell.com, choose your test, and they'll be shipped directly to your doorstep. Once you collect your sample and send it back to Everlywell's certified lab partner, you'll get your doctor-reviewed, easy-to-read results online in just a few days. No more sitting in waiting rooms, no more mystery bill, and no more waiting on your results. Head to everlywell.com and use promo code BACHELOR to take 15% off your first order. That's everlywell.com, promo code BACHELOR for 15% off your first order. Take control of your health today with Everlywell's at-home health tests. Your tests on your time and on your terms. All right, Bekah, talk to us about what really happened when you went missing.
This is the first time I'm actually talking about it, so you're getting the exclusive.
Exclusive.
So what happened was, I was communicating to I always check in with my parents. People are like, "Oh, how old are you? You need to check in with my parents." I'm like, I'm gonna keep doing this because I love my family and I communicate with them on a regular basis.
I literally can't go more than 6 weeks without seeing my mom. It's fine.
Yeah.
I understand.
Well, the show was so hard for me. Like, I didn't get to talk with them.
I totally get it.
But anyway, so yeah, and I had just come off the show, so my family did want to be in really close contact with me because they missed me. Yeah. So I didn't have any cell service, and I was communicating with my mom through my friend's cell phone. She got kicked off the farm.
Oh my God.
How do you get kicked off a weed farm?
So were you woofing? Like, were you?
We were just like, it's a farm that people work at, but we were just chilling there. Okay. Like, I had weeks off from nannying.
A room?
No, I mean, like, she just knew the people that owned the farm, or like it was a friend of a friend who owned the farm. So we were just like camping on the property. It's beautiful up there. Like, Humboldt County is gorgeous. There's like so many trees, and it was just like it was so picturesque, and it was really nice to not have cell service and just like unplug after coming back home. Like that really is why I went. But anyway, so she got kicked off the farm.
What'd she do?
And she was just being a bitch. Like she was at the end of the day, she was just being a bitch, and she was just a very like spoiled brat.
Okay.
And so when she got kicked off, she's like, well, like basically was like, come with me. And I was like, no, I don't want to. Like,
not ready to leave.
And I also don't want to leave with you because like you're difficult to be around now, because I had been with her like a week at that time, and I was like, I don't like you and I'm not interested in continuing a friendship with you. And then she got really mad that I didn't want to leave with her, and she was like, you're siding with everyone else here. And I was like, yeah, I kind of am. And so when she left, I tried to text my mom off of somebody else's phone that had service, but I guess the text didn't go through.
Oh, interesting.
So now this girl, crazy girl who gets kicked off the farm, is the one who has contact with my mother.
Oh, no.
So my mom texts her like, oh, how's Bekah doing? And she makes up this lie and says like, the owners of the farm are meth heads who threatened me with knives, and I had to leave Bekah behind.
Oh my God. So your mom thought that you were getting like knifed
up? My mom thought that I was she thought I was getting held hostage by meth heads with knives.
Oh my God.
So obviously she's freaking out, and she's like, can you give me somebody else's contact info on the farm, or like tell me where exactly she is? And she goes, no, I'm sorry, I can't give you that information. Stops replying to my mom.
Oh my God. So this girl's no longer your friend.
Of course not.
Jesus,
so
your poor
vindictive,
mother.
So vindictive, and I know
what
she did that.
What did you do to make her so mad?
It's literally exactly the story that I told you. She got kicked
behind.
off the farm, and I did side with the people who like told her she had to leave, and I was like, no, you are a bitch. Like, and I don't want to go with you.
Wow.
So, but yeah, she got. I mean, like
that makes a lot more sense, to be honest.
Yes, it does. Like, and so she was just so crazy and vindictive. Like, I'm not making it up. I didn't do anything to her besides what I just said, and she's just a crazy person. And she wanted to get back at me by, like, who does that to somebody's family members? That's just mean.
Yeah, that is really
evil,
mean.
Really. Because like my parents are thinking that I'm possibly dead. Like, they don't know where I am in Humboldt County. Like, that's so scary.
Yeah, completely.
So scary. So that's why my mom filed the report. Obviously, I'm on the farm not knowing that this girl is telling my family that.
Right.
Of course, because I didn't think – I thought she was crazy, but not that crazy.
No landlines at this farm?
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
But, well, no, but that's the thing. Other people had cell service, and I thought that I had sent a text to my mom through them.
Right.
And then, like, I thought, like – me being a sane person, I thought my friend would give my mother other people's contact info on the farm because she had other people's phone numbers.
Yes, her friends that took you to the farm.
Yes.
Okay, so this girl, she's nuts.
She's nuts. She really is. And so, anyway, I got into cell service because I was like, man, I feel like I need to go home.
Yeah.
Then I find out everything that had gone down.
So you knew you were on the list.
Yes, so we called that same day she filed the report, and was like, no, I'm fine. But we left voicemails.
You'd think the police would check that.
Yeah, so I didn't know I was still on the list until fast forward to, February, when they called and they're like, so we're guessing you're not missing? I'm like, no, I'm not missing. What the hell?
That's such a crazy thing.
It's so crazy. And in that moment, after I got off the phone with the sheriff, she was like, oh, somebody recognized you from the show. I was like, oh, God, this is going to blow up so hard.
Yeah, and the timing was pretty uncanny because the story came out, I think, on a Friday. And then the following Monday, I think you were eliminated from the show.
Oh, yeah.
So it was almost like
it almost did seem like a publicity stunt.
Yes, it did. It totally did.
Yeah.
But it was too weird to be one.
Also, like, the real story is so
even weird
too. It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
I also hit a bear on the way up to the farm, by the way. Like, this story gets even crazier. Like, a bear took off my bumper.
Did the bear die?
It ran off into the forest after.
So at least it was able to get away. Is your car damaged?
My whole bumper is held on by zip ties and duct tape right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Got to get you this Life of Bekah show so you can upgrade your car.
No, for real. I need to pimp my ride ASAP.
That's a pretty crazy story. When did you get home from filming? In early November or late October?
Late October, right before Halloween.
Oh, nice. Are you a big Halloween person? I bet you are.
I love Halloween.
Yeah, I could tell.
I plan my costume all year.
This is a good segue into the Moulin Rouge date. So you had a great time, I guess.
I had a great time on all the group dates.
Did you?
Yes.
What was the best one?
Well, I think they were all so cool. Like a demolition derby.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's so cool. They gave us real cars to drive into. Like, that's amazing.
100%.
The wrestling date, like, I got to learn from actual, like, WWE people. Like, how to do the fake wrestling. So fun.
Yeah.
So
I
fun.
think you seemed like you had a good experience.
Great experience.
Even though you've been to Paris and Tuscany, two great places anyway.
I did hate the bowling date because I hate bowling.
Yeah, that also was like literally the lowest budget date they could have thought of.
It sucked.
It was pretty weird. So what are you doing now after the show?
Just living my life. I'm still nannying.
Do you have one family that you nanny for?
Yeah.
Do they know you were going on the show?
So actually, I was nannying for the same family for about a year and a half before going on the show. I was with the baby since she was 6 weeks old.
Aww.
It was very sweet. But so when I went on the show, right before I went on it, she was going to be transitioning into daycare anyway. So the timing kind of worked out. Like I had to find a new job anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got back from the show, I got a new family. And I told them like, disclaimer, I'm on the show. And they're like, oh, well, we don't watch TV. So like whatever.
Also, it's LA. There's so many weirder
they don't,
jobs.
Exactly. They don't care.
Probably fine.
They don't care at all.
Cool. Will you be going on Paradise this summer?
I mean, according to Chris Harrison, I guess.
Yeah, he made it seem like you had discussed it.
Dude, I had not discussed that with anybody. I was like, Chris, I have not signed anything. Negotiations have not been made. Do not
ask
act
for a lot
like
of
I'm
money.
there.
Tell them about your car accident.
Oh, yeah. I will.
I think you would kill it on Paradise.
I think I would love Paradise.
You told me you're an Aquarius. So you'd like to be in the water.
I love the sun. And like, it's just the perfect excuse to get a great tan.
Who do you think should be the Bachelorette?
Oh my God. I can't say that.
That's okay. Just spoiled it for everyone listening in the control room, but it's fine. They're all professionals. Perhaps we'll bleep this for the podcast. Moving on.
Do I think Tia should be Bachelorette? No.
No Tia, because you're still mad at her over your fight.
No, I mean, like, I'm pretty much over it, but like not.
She was intense.
I'm more like not over how everyone else got over it so fast.
About Tia?
Yeah, they're like, and now everybody's just like, she's such an honest girl. She's like a girl's girl. I'm like, what kind of girl's girl pulls that kind of move?
Yeah, that's not cool. I will say one thing that makes me think she should be the Bachelorette even more is that she clearly takes this very seriously. And you need someone to buy into it.
Yeah, which I have a lot to say about that.
Well, let's hear it, Bekah. The floor is yours.
She is Raven's friend. Raven, I'm sure, feels robbed of not being the Bachelorette after she had her heart broken on Nick's season, which I'm not. I think Raven really was pretty into Nick watching that season back.
Have you met Nick?
God, I don't want to.
Really?
Ew.
I think he would like you.
Oh, my toes are curling in my shoes right now.
Really?
I think he is disgusting.
You do?
He's repulsive.
Why?
Like his small mouth and like his curly hair, like everything about him is just, I hate him.
Oh my God. I know there are women out there who hate Nick, but I haven't met any of them. And now I have. Wow.
I think he's disgusting.
Okay, that's sad for him.
No, because you know when I first hated him? On Andy's season.
When he called her
after
out.
the final rose, he goes, then what if you didn't love me? Why did you make love to me?
Yeah. It's lame. Not
he
cool.
Could never redeem himself after that for me.
Okay.
Never.
Fair enough. Many people in America agree with you.
Ugh, disgusting.
So you think Tia's too serious? It's fine.
I just don't think she's being that real because she's an intelligent girl. Mm-hmm. She is.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sorry. She told Arie she was in love with him in Florida, and that was their first freaking one-on-one. She had probably spent a total of 3 hours with him before that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, she didn't really know him. I mean, none of them do.
And to me, like, she was saying that I had all these red flags because I had doubts. No, to me, it's a red flag if you don't have doubts after only spending 6 hours with somebody and you're ready to say you think that person's going to be your husband after that amount of time.
It's true.
What?
But this will make her. All of these things would make her a good Bachelorette.
I think a better Bachelorette would be somebody who's like the first self-aware person on the show, who's like, I don't know, dude, I haven't spent that much time with you. I don't know.
So I think Nick was kind of a self-aware Bachelor, and so many people didn't like him.
I thought he was a great Bachelor.
Yeah. I mean, it's also tough to follow up Ben, but he did a good job. I love Ben.
Yeah. I mean, Ben seems like a great guy, but his season was a snooze fest.
Yeah, a lot of people think that. What's your favorite Bachelor season?
Let's see. How many have I watched?
Did you watch Juan Pablo?
I think I would have loved it.
I think you
didn't.
I think you would have as well. I think you would have as well.
I didn't watch it. Whose seasons have I watched? I did like Nick's. Nick's was really good.
It was good. And
it was interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. And I really was like, oh, no, actually. I was going to say, I was really wondering who he was going to pick. No, I was like, how did Raven get this far? And
are you going to like embrace Bachelor Nation now? Like, do you want to have like all these people leave and they get like podcasts or they like hang out with each other and do bar appearances? Like, are you going to do the bar circuit or like traveling to get paid to show up at a bar for 10 minutes with Ashley, I, and Jared? Like, is that in your future?
Well, me and Kendall are doing that like next month.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
What's Kendall like?
Dude, I cannot sing the praises of that girl enough. She
seemed cool, but I feel like she was just labeled like the quirky one. We never got past that. But she seems cool.
She honestly was really weird on the show. Like, not a lot of us were, like, she and Jacqueline were really close, and she was good friends.
Jacqueline seemed weird too. In a good way. I like the weirdos.
Yeah.
Like they have personality.
But I didn't actually get close to either of them. And Kendall will even say now, she thought I was annoying throughout the whole filming.
Really?
But I think Becca the other day was like, because I said this in an interview last week, and Becca K was like, rude. Because I was like, I think Kendall's like my best friend from the show. But Kendall and I have gotten really close after the taping. We both live in LA.
Right.
And we go out like all the time
Nice.
together. And our friend groups are kind of merging. And she's awesome. She's like clearly so sweet. Like I think her speech to Crystal on their 2-on-1 like says it all. She's just an amazing person.
That was incredible television.
She's an amazing person.
Yeah, that seemed like she was having a revelation. We were watching it in real time.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny.
I was
also,
just saying,
I feel so sorry for having to be on a 2-on-1 with Crystal. That's rough.
She just handled it so well. Like she was so mature and wise about it.
You could tell because she handled it well, it then affected her edit where she got more time and it was like a good, and it'd be good for her story arc.
I mean,
basically.
she did make it to the 3-on-1, so you
I know,
gotta have some
I was
sort
shocked.
of a 3-on-1, top 3, so you have to have some sort of character development.
Yeah, totally. And she had to roll around in the sand with Arie, which was pretty bizarre.
Yeah.
Did she have fun with doing that?
Yeah.
I don't want to make you speak for her, but that was just a weird ass date.
Yeah. Really?
Even
I thought that sounded fun.
Rolling around in the sand?
Well, they got to it was like sandboarding.
I know, but then you have sand all over you.
Yeah, you know
I'm
what
not an outdoorsy type.
You know what I was not about was, and I tweeted about it, Becca's tent setup.
Awful.
Lauren got
So
a freaking
unfair.
hot tub
In her room. I know. It's so unfair. Becca got shafted.
I literally tweeted, I was like, where is she gonna go pee after they have sex? Like,
I know.
they're setting her up for
or
UTI.
I know. Not fair.
I texted her. I was like, where was the bathroom? She's like, we peed in the sand. Like, they literally didn't have a
That's
bathroom.
not sexy. As Arie would say, not sexy.
Like, wipes?
That sucks. That really sucks. I think that's the perfect note to end this podcast.
Go.
Becca,
UTIs.
thank you so much for coming. I am honestly honored to be the first place that you shared the true story, how you ended up on the missing persons list. I hope you'll come back for more Bachelor commentary.
Sure.
And looking forward to seeing what's next for you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Don't forget to listen to Bachelor Party on Monday. We'll be back for the finale right after. And on Wednesday to recap the After the Final Rose, which is supposed to be bonkers. Stay tuned. Thanks again to Everlywell. Finding the time to get a lab test is almost impossible, but now it's easy to order the tests you want at everlywell.com. Everlywell is an at-home health testing company that offers a variety of physician-reviewed private tests from food sensitivity to metabolism to thyroid. No more sitting in waiting rooms or waiting on your results. Head to everlywell.com and use promo code BACHELOR to take 15% off your first order. Remember, it's Everlywell, your test on your time and your terms.